Today's Q&A session did not record properly, so I thought I would do it again. Now, we are going to focus today on capital appreciation versus rental yield. And I am firmly in the camp of focusing more on rental yield than focusing on capital appreciation in Scotland. And the reason for that is that house prices in Scotland just do not go up that much. So we generally see house prices on average going up by about 2.5 to 3% per annum, maybe a little bit over. But that's about all we see. We don't see huge big jumps the way that they do down south and in London. So for that reason, I tend to focus on rental yield and looking at these properties as an income stream, which is what most people want to use their property for eventually. So I thought it'd be really interesting to compare a couple of different purchases and look at that over the course of a 20-year period. And to cut a long story short, when we look at these, we find that the return on investment, when we focus more heavily on yield, which tends to mean focusing more heavily on less expensive properties, tends to do better. So the return on investment tends to be better. So let me show you some figures and how that works. And the first thing I'm going to do is talk you through the sort of property that this might be. So this might be a one-bedroom property in the G51 area, so around Ibrox, Cessnock, Govan area. And a one-bedroom flat here would be about £60,000 to buy. And the rent that you get there is about 475. So that's going to get you 475 a month. So if we look at the rental income over the course of a year, which is 5,700, so that's your yearly rental income, and we look at the increase in equity of the property over the course of, let's look at it over a 5-year period. So if we're looking at it in 5 years, in this sort of area, your property is going to go up by about 2.9% per annum. So over the course of 5 years, you've started out with a property that's 60,000. In year 5, your property is going to be worth 68,000. Your income you've received over the course of 5 years is 28,000. So the return on, so you've created, or rather your investment in terms of actuals has gone up by, what is that? So 37k. 37? Yeah, 37k. And if you look at your 37k, so you've created 37k and your investment is 60,000, so your return on investment on that property over 5 years is 62%. So your return on investment on that one is 62%, okay? If we look at a more expensive property, so if we look at buying in the G12 area, so it's one of the most sought after areas in Glasgow. This is talking about Hindland, Hillhead, those sorts of areas. If we're looking in those sorts of areas and we're talking about buying a one-bedroom flat at about 180k, you're going to buy a one-bedroom. Can you see here? Okay, I'm going to put it up here. So this is 180k for a one-bedroom in that area. House prices here are going to go up more. They're going to go up by, what is it, 3.2% per annum. So you have increased so over the course of 5 years, your property is going to start at 180k and it's going to go up to, let me see, it's going to go up to 208,000 over the course of 5 years. Your income, your rental income is obviously going to be higher here, so these rent out for about 800 a month. So 800 a month. And your rental income then over the course of that 5-year period is going to be 48,000. 48,000. So in terms of increase in equity plus your rental income, you are at 76,000. 76,000. So you've 76,000 and you've invested 180,000. So your return on that investment is 42%. Now, your return on this one is 62%. Now, these figures continue to increase obviously over time. So if we continue to do this exercise over the course of a 20-year period, the return on the investment on your little one bedroom at 60k is, can you see here, is, hang on, I'll write this down. That's not going to work, but the return on that investment is 248. So that's 248 on your one bed, on this one, and on your more expensive property with the lower yield, your return on investment is 170. So in my mind, you're better to buy more of your little one bedrooms at 60k than to put all your eggs in one basket and buy your more expensive one. So you could be increasing your return on investment even more by spreading them and buying perhaps 2 of these or 3 of these versus buying 1 of these. I say all of that with the proviso that increased yields tend to increase the lower down the value of the property. However, these properties all have got to be lettable. So generally, I find that when we go over yields of 10, 11, 12%, and we're going any higher than that, we are in areas where you may not necessarily want to invest your hard-earned cash. Yes, the yield may be very good when there's a tenant in there, but there can be other problems. So it might be difficult to keep a tenant in there, or it might be that there are some other issues that prevent the rent coming in, and then your yield is quite clearly going to go down. But in terms of investment, I generally would tend to focus more heavily on rental yield, because the capital appreciation in Scotland is just not going to get you to a point of making up the lost yield. Hopefully that is helpful. I'll link this to my blog article where you can see all the figures. And if you would like to ask me any questions, then please do. Bye.